Hi, thanks for tuning in to the Shepherd Podcast. It's a lot of fun putting these together and being able to share with you about people in our church, whether it's staff members or lay leaders or members who have an interesting background, and really everybody has a story to tell. And I'm really excited about our guest for today for a number of reasons. As he and I were talking, there were just a lot of different topics we could hit on, a wide variety of things. And so as we get into this, I think you'll see that some of this is going to be very timely, and I think you'll find it very interesting. So I'd like to welcome to the podcast today, Bryan Smith. Bryan, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yes. Yeah. And just as a point of clarification, there are two Bryan Smiths in our church.
Are there really?
Yeah. And I don't know if you knew, the other one is my brother-in-law.
No, I didn't know. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a common name.
Yeah. So he's Bryan with an I, you're Bryan with a Y.
So see, there is a little difference. We got it.
Yeah. So I welcome Bryan here and
cool.
Glad to have this time with you. And you know, we've gotten to know each other originally through the school with our children being classmates together. You're Stevie and my Caleb.
Yep.
And then we got to know each other even more when the Shepherd at 50 building project was going on. You know, you had some input from your professional experience, and you got involved with our building committee, been a big part of that. Yep. And so I thought maybe we'd start there. Just tell us a little bit about your background and your business.
Sure. My background, actually, I moved here in '87. I went to high school in Samuel Clemens, and then went to engineering school at UTSA. And originally I was going to do chemical engineer and transfer, but I ended up staying here and doing mechanical engineering. And as I was looking for different jobs, a friend of mine owned a construction company and ended up working for him and found out I loved it. And I think that was in '98. And worked for him for several years. He did the good and bad, brought a company really big, really fast, and then went bankrupt, which is some of the things we saw what happened with the people we chose to start off the project here. So I've actually seen that happen. And it was from there that I actually started my own company. And that was in '03 or '02, something around there. And so it's been a journey, but we build and remodel homes. Been doing that for quite some time. Been past president of the Builders Association. I do all the codes for the city. So I've been very involved in the community as far as in the building industry and that kind of stuff. And it was actually very neat to get along with a lot of the people here and talk with all of their strengths and working together as a team to put together, you know, the package that, you know, is going to end up happening here. And I think it's going to be a blessing with the new building, the new offices, and how it can completely change the complexity of the place here. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting.
Yep.
There's a lot of things you said. I'd love to pick up on a few of them. One is, you said you do all the codes for the city?
Yeah, I'm on about 12 years ago, they created they called a super board. They had all these individual boards, and not enough people showed up. So they created what they called a super board, a board of appeals. And there are 12 main of us. We have some alternates and such. But we go through code cycles every 3 years for both commercial and residential. We're getting ready to do the new ones coming up, where we'll talk about the energy, the building codes. We go through all of that, whether there's amendments for the city. And we go through from pool building, everything. And in addition, we are the committee that if there's any problems with the building industry, like with development services with a particular trade, if there's issues that they need a third party to oversee, that's our board. Our last one was a gentleman who was a plumber, and he was doing work that he didn't get a permit on. And it's been multiple times, and it was difficult. You know, somebody's livelihood, and to put somebody on suspension is not easy. So there was a lot of talk and a lot of discussion, but that's what our board does is try to make some of the hard decisions, but do in a way that's caring.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're a part of this process. I think that is a lot of help to us. And I'm also glad you're a board member. That's one thing we're going to talk about is serving on our board of elders and deaconesses as a new member there. And you've been a part of a board and had to have some difficult discussions and think through problems. So that's you are an asset in many ways.
Yeah, it's a blessing. I mean, you've got to do where God has put you and led you, and you try to use your talents for His betterment.
Yeah.
And if you follow that, that is always in His and your best interest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One other thing about your business I want to talk about. Okay, you're a home builder, remodeler. About how many homes a year do you handle?
I've got 43 projects going on right now.
43 at one time? That's a lot of plates to spin.
It is. So we've been Remodeler of the Month for the nation.
Really?
So 2 years ago in April we were Remodeler of the Month.
Wow.
So we started as a remodeler. We do a lot of large scale remodels, both commercial, residential. And then probably about 10 years ago is when we started home building. And we're getting ready to start probably 4 new homes in the next month or so.
Wow.
So, and we're busier now than probably we ever have been. Even in this environment, God has really blessed us. It's just, it's amazing.
It's good to hear that your business is prospering. That's fantastic. Now, along with what you do as a profession, you also help to enrich others. You have a radio show, which is becoming a podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for the last couple of years, we've done a show called the At Home Real Estate Show. And I partner with Supreme Lending. And we do every week where we'll bring in realtors, different guests. We've actually brought in Michael Shannon, the head of development services. We brought in all kinds of different CPAs, different topics that really meet and talk to, what are somebody doing as far as investing in real estate, what's important to them. So we've brought different topics. Just recently, we decided we are going in a different path. Instead of from the radio program, our platform, we've always done social media. So we are just going to do similar to what we're doing here, is have a podcast. So we already have a podcast studio that we are going to perform, and that way you don't have to be at a specific time like Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. You could do like what we're doing here, a particular time, and then be able to broadcast when you want to. That way we can be more apt with our guests as far as with their time, their availability, and I think it'll be more responsive. So it's the same thing, but just a little bit different. I think you've got to, be flexible and with the times as far as, how do you reach people? How do you, really, integrate and get people involved? And those are some of the changes we're doing. We brought in a social media person, similar to what Melody's doing. An excellent job is getting involved in Instagram and getting involved into the Facebook and having people interact. And because some people just don't want to really share or not very good in social environments, but in social media they are. So you got to reach and meet where they're at. And that's kind of something that we're kind of doing. Yeah.
Great. Well, that's an exciting transition, and I can see a lot of upside to going to the podcast format. Yeah. We certainly enjoy doing our podcast. It's working well.
And it is. It allows you to where you can have on the website what people, as far as on demand, can really access it and look at it and see it. And if it's done in a way on the website where you can see, hey, this is this person, this is this person, you can search for different stuff. It's there for people to be able to access later and go, hey, I met this person. I want to get some more information, perhaps, and that kind of stuff. So I think it's a wonderful resource.
Yeah, great. So tell us a little more about how you and your family ended up at Shepherd, and then I want to talk more about who's in your family, but what's the story of how you guys came over to Shepherd?
I'll give you a little bit of background first. When we got married, which was in 2003, we kind of felt led to start getting more involved in church. And we talked to a lot of different churches and ended up going to CBC. And we were at CBC for many years. Even during while my daughter was going to school here. She's been going here since she was 6 months, and she's 7 years old. So we did the marriage mentoring there for many years, and then just how life's going, the Lord just kind of felt led us to do something different. And when we did that, with fostering, and we can talk about that in a little bit. Doing all those type of things, then we just kind of felt led again that, just being a part of this church as far as meeting with people and talking with people and really having that interaction. You were talking about with Caleb, going with the, playing baseball and that kind of stuff, and just seeing all the parents. It was that community that, the bigger churches just doesn't have.
Sure.
I mean, they're great, and one of the biggest things that they do promote are the small gatherings, your Bible studies, your activities that you can get into those groups. But we had it here locally, and it was something that we just kind of felt, happy about, and kind of felt led. And I remember us having a conversation of just like, hey, would you be open to becoming members here? And I remember my wife going, you know what, I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, great. Well,
so, but I think it's the community here that really led us, and the people that made the difference.
Yeah, and it's nice that this is your neighborhood church too. I mean, you guys are walking distance.
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
it does make it really nice.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That's
which is great.
2 blocks away. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great. I think a church should be a part of its neighborhood.
Yeah.
And
it was actually one of the things that led us with our house there. We actually remodeled it because we felt very passionate about, when we came here with Stevie, the staff has just been phenomenal. It's very cool. I've just never seen, like, when we start off the year, just the passion of the teachers and when they're talking and the curriculums and what they want to do and how they're going to do it, and then just see their interactions throughout the year. That led us to stay where we wanted to, over here. We're like, well, we want her to go through all the way at least through 8th grade.
Yeah.
So we're going to be here for 10 years. Let's fix the house up and be happy.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's also the staff here is just phenomenal. They're really passionate and caring and loving, and go out of their way for all the kids.
Yeah. I agree with all that, and I thank you for sharing that. Yeah. All right, so I want to talk more about your family. I'm just really excited about the things that have been happening in your family recently. So you want to tell us who's in the family?
Sure. Well, I told you my wife, we got married. We met in 2001, got married in 2003, so we've been married for 17 years. Yeah. We had Stevie 7 years ago, and thought we were done with one. And just felt led. And we were at CBC, and that's where we were doing the marriage mentoring, and they were doing some things. We were doing groups of like 500. I mean, it was big marriage mentoring kind of things. It was taking a lot of time. I mean, the prep time and getting everything set, but it was very rewarding because just the different people and meeting, it was really neat. But we just kind of felt led to doing something different, and that's when Pastor Ed had came over there, and he has adopted and wanted to bring the church more involved into the fostering system. So they did a big fair on fostering. So we went to there, and they had all these different agencies and that kind of stuff, and we actually interviewed several of them. And my wife, her mom was a very giving kind of person, brought people in, took care of them, almost fostering type of thing. It wasn't fostering at the time. It was just family members that had issues that she took care of. Okay. And my dad was actually adopted. Wow. So, it's that kind of a background. And I remember my wife telling me when we were there was something that was said that said, if one family from from every church in Texas were to foster one child, we would have no fostering problems. Really? All kids would be fostered. So it just takes one family to make a difference. And that was something we thought of. And so we interviewed several different ones, and kind of felt led. One Hope was a Christian organization that did things a little different, and it was a God thing. My mom actually helped develop their curriculum in Florida. Really? Found out later, about 2 years later, that she actually had worked with that before she got her PhD. But it was kind of neat just seeing how things could tie in for the whole nation that you would never think of. Yeah. But their whole philosophy is what's the best interest of the child? And the biggest thing what they do differently is actually minister to the broken families of what is cause that's going on. Mm-hmm. The mom, the father, the family. How can we talk to them, help them in a situation? Because usually in fostering, it's this team and this team. Mm-hmm. But it's different. How can we minister to them and help them and meet them where they're at, and hopefully they can be unbroken, mm-hmm. get their life turned back around, because what's best interest of the child is the mom and the dad actually be with that child.
Right.
And that's hard. And this particular agency didn't sugarcoat anything.
Okay.
They were very upfront and honest. The training was really, really good. For us, we ended up fostering an African American, and they have actually culture diversity classes that they go through, and really understanding, where, if it's Hispanic, if it's, African American, wherever they're from, to understand, who they are and what they're about, mm-hmm. And reaching that, mm-hmm. And understanding the family and how it can be different than your own. Mm-hmm. But we ended up getting a call. I remember we were out at near Los Maples, and you get the call and you have to make a split decision. They give you basically just a little bit of information. Like this one he was 2 days old, 2 days old, and African American. About all the information they give. There's not a whole lot of information. Uh-huh. And are you available? And actually, that was when we did the first time. And we took a couple minutes to think about it. We called back, and somebody had already done it.
Oh, really? The
first time. The second time we were actually in Stone Oak.
Wow.
So then we made a split decision there, and we went, yeah, we'll do it. And they said, okay, we'll be at your house in 30 minutes. We're like, we're in Stone Oak. It'll take us 45 minutes. And they said, okay. So you have that much time, not really, aware.
Wow.
Because you don't know, because our things was 0 to 3 years old. Well, not really prepared for a 2-day-old. And when we got him, he was almost a preemie. So even the newborn stuff we had wasn't there. But, normally you have 9 months. You're ready to go. And
right.
You're all... so it was a journey, and we're not young chickens, so to do that. So, but God gives you strength. My wife was phenomenal. We did a lot of, teamwork. She worked full time. I worked full time. How do you manage that? But God can do things. So
yeah. So what were those first few days like with a
It was baby? much more difficult than when we had our first daughter.
Sure.
I think it was just because you just have no warning. You just don't have the things that you think you need, because we already knew our daughter and girl and size and all that kind of stuff, and you can prep for all that. Well, we weren't prepped. But we also volunteer. My wife does for a charity called the Vault.
That's right. Yeah.
And they do a lot of stuff with foster families and really be able to help. And they were awesome to be able to help with some clothes and some different things that we just didn't have and weren't prepared for. And that's what happens with a lot of families in fostering. It's instantaneous. You have an event that goes on, something that happened, neglect, and there's a need that needs to be met right away.
Yeah.
And so we ended up fostering for a year. And then adopting.
Yeah.
And at the time of adopting, then his brother, Dre, ended up coming with us. And we are fostering currently him.
Okay.
So he's 4 years old.
And in your mind, is fostering going to naturally lead to adopting, or is that a wait and see?
That is our intention.
Is
yes.
it?
Yeah. It's but you got to give time. And one of the things with fostering with some of the little older kids and such is the trauma. Yep. So you have to allow the bonding to happen. You have to really be able to allow them to acclimate. Because it was difficult for him when he first came.
Sure.
Just the episodes and the different things. It's just, but he's come a long way since when he came here. and just seeing the updates and everything else. When you look through the little reports, he's made great headway, but it's difficult. But that's part of what the training of what One Hope and the continual training that they have. You have to continue that training every year. Yeah. As you're fostering, so
really, you have to keep up with it.
Yeah, I've taken the same class probably 4 times.
Have you? So you can teach it now.
So it's because the first time we took it, we couldn't finish the classes in time because our time schedule, our work schedule, we couldn't finish them all, so we had to retake them again before we started. So we took them twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so you know the material well now.
We try.
So let me ask you, what would you say to individuals who are considering fostering or adopting?
The first thing is prayerful consideration. Make sure it's a God thing. Make sure God's leading you to do this. So take a little time and don't be impulsive.
Okay.
And then if you have peace about it, you feel led about it, then talk to a couple different agencies. Don't just go with the first one. Go with some recommendations. You really need that support system and a good agency that you feel comfortable with, that you can communicate, that you can talk, that has that support. How are they going to work with you? Because that's key, because when you have the difficult things that are going on, you need someone to lean on and ask for advice. And where's this going? What do we need to do? And, some direction. We found One Hope was just a really good organization.
All right, so a question I've really been wanting to ask you about, something I feel makes it such a timely conversation. You have adopted and are fostering 2 children total, both African American. And right now, such a big and necessary conversation in our country about race relations. How has the addition of these 2 children to your family changed your perspective on race issues? Has it changed your perspective or given you any new insights?
Well, again, we had to take the classes that are, cultural, to understand where people come from. Unfortunately, in our society, there is racism. There's racism all over type of things from whether it be white, black. I mean, there's all kinds of different races with people that just have hate in their heart. I think the best way that you can do is by actions, is by looking at people by their character instead of the color or who they are. And I think if you lead by that example, hopefully they'll be able to see that we don't see people just by when we're viewing. We're looking for their heart and looking at who they are. But you see what's going on out there, that there's a society and there's some bad characters out there. So you worry about that and how you can make sure that they're strong enough to be able to handle outside influences that are beyond their control. And do they have enough heart and enough strength that it's not going to affect them?
Yeah.
So the best way to do it is to emulate and to go and to live your life in a way that that isn't a part of it. Most in our world, we haven't really seen a lot of that. We've actually, when we go out to dinner and everywhere else, we get a lot of comments that you have a beautiful family. We haven't had that negativity. Right. I'm sure there will be. So it's just being strong for them, and if that ever does happen, just sitting with them and letting them know that they are who they are and they're strong regardless of what somebody's going to try to tell you. Do something different. They have self-worth. God made them, and that is everything. And then it's who you are as a person and your behaviors that define you, not somebody else.
That's right. Good lesson for all of us to hear.
And unfortunately, just some people, it may be just the environment. Some of our older relatives were not culturally sensitive. It was a different world. Yeah. I think we've progressed a lot over the generations, but there's still work to be done.
Absolutely. I was thinking about one of my Facebook friends posted about her son. She's African American. She has a young son, and talks about she worries what it's going to be like for him one day as an adult black man. You know, will he be discriminated against? Will he be profiled? Have you guys thought down the road that far as to, you know, any potentially dangerous or hazardous situations as they grow up into black men?
Well, I mean, you always want to protect your kids.
Yeah.
So the best that you can do is control what you can control.
Yeah.
There are going to be people that just don't get it. Mm-hmm. They have hate in their heart. And, you know, we've had that before biblical times. So, I mean, it's been, I mean, we have sin. Once you have sin, you're going to have that. And unfortunately, we'll have to deal with that. So the best that you can do is to raise them to be good and wholesome people, but strong character, strong person to go, you know, you don't control me.
Yep.
Your opinions, your behavior doesn't dictate who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And that is more than anything else. That, you know, how you get through that in strength, and you know, hopefully also, you know, strengthen the Lord. I think that's what would give people going through that patience and love through that hate.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
That's what I would tell that particular person is you know, have the, you know, the love of the Lord and forgive that person, because God forgave us.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's extremely hard.
It is.
So it's that kind of actions and behaviors that you can emulate, that hopefully they will see and be able to have that strength as well.
Yeah. God has done a very good thing by bringing these children into your family, the foundation of faith that they're going to get. I want to talk a little more about your faith. So you and Stephanie and Ashley and I were part of a Zoom Bible study group, and Ashley and I always comment just about how your comments are so saturated with your faith, you and Stephanie both. And even in our conversation today, some things I'll hear you talk about is having peace about something and being led by the Lord. And, you know, you and Stephanie have such a deep faith. Can you tell us about how your faith has helped you in your life through the ups and downs of life? How has your faith helped you?
It's everything. And it's also something that I learned that, you know, God takes you where you're at. You know, when you first come to faith, you think you have to be all perfect and everything. And it's just not that. No. It's something that you have to grow into, learn, have the relationship with Him. And then you as you're going through life, when you have the ups and downs, look to Him, and, you know, He'll guide you. But that just doesn't happen overnight. So, you know, you can't be religious. You can't be these type of ways. You've got to love people where they're at, because that's what God does for us.
Absolutely.
And it's His grace that allows us to be able to go through, because we're all sinners. You know, we all have issues. We all have problems. It's our relationship with Him on a daily basis that allows us to grow and to be better people. And there's times where we still fail. But especially the times of where, you know, two different things. One, when things are going well, you give Him thanks. Thank you, Lord. That's the easy part. It's when, you know, I remember, Faith, when we were talking about before, when I started in construction working for somebody, and that business went bankrupt. Yep. I had no job, nothing. And nobody wanted me. I mean, I was blackballed, kind of thing. Or it was just, you know, they were like, well, we can't touch because we're nervous and all that kind of stuff. That was very difficult. Yeah. And to be able to have the strength to go, you know what, no, we can do this. I feel God's leading myself this way. And, you know, to have peace. And it didn't happen overnight. Steph was supporting and taking care of, and it probably took a good couple of years.
Really? Wow, that's a long time to dig out of a deep hole.
Yeah, and just have faith that you continue that, no, this is where I need to be. Yeah. And it's in His timing, not your timing.
Yep, that's right.
That's very difficult to live out. That is. I don't know if anybody else has had that, but it's, you know, you want things in a particular thing and know it, but, you know, a lot of times it's it's His timing.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that. Yeah. What fuels your faith? What helps you to be strong in your faith?
Probably my dad's emulating,
Really?
the faith. We had similar lives as far as, in the beginning with, I was away from the Lord, and he was as a young man as well, and then ended up getting saved, and him and his wife getting, very strong. They were at Cornerstone first. They left when Rick Randall went and ended up being elders up in Austin when he started the church up there. And then ended up going to be elders over at Foursquare, and now at CBC.
Oh, okay.
But just their lives and what theirs, and seeing the emulation of what he's done, and been a part of a life, has been a big influence of, where I think, a righteous man should be. Yeah. And do and lead and to emulate and show how things can be.
Yeah. I have a feeling that one day someone's going to interview your kids and they're going to say the same thing.
We can only wish. So,
yeah. Well, last thing I want to talk about is just, you've got a lot going on in life. You've got a business you've got a lot of projects going on.
I do.
43 right now? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got your podcast. You've got a young family. You are a new member of our board of elders and deaconesses. And, that's a very active board, a lot going on now. What do you do for fun?
We do for fun. We actually have a lot of fun. So a couple things we do, like on this past 4th, we had remodeled the house. We hung out at the house. We swam in the pool, in the hot tub. I have an outdoor TV, so we had movie night.
Cool.
So we had popcorn, those type of things, and put on a little kids movie, that type of thing, and everybody was hanging outside. The baby was playing the little water table and that kind of thing. So pizza, that was fun. We're going to go, not this weekend, but the weekend after, we're going out to Los Maples. We've been going out there for about 20 years. Love going out there. There's no cell service, so you can actually get away, truly get away. Yeah. There's Wi-Fi, but there's, if somebody's trying to get a hold of you, you've got to drive 5 miles to get a cell service. So so we're going to go out there, stay at a house that's right on the water. Kids love it because it's only a few inches deep. There's another one, there's a water hole that you can swim, but the smaller areas, so we'll play in the water, throw the ball around. There's a little gymnasium, little thing that's there. Again, get away, relax, decompress.
Yep.
But allow the kids to have some experiences and those type of things. So those things are fun.
Yeah. Great. Well, you have a wonderful family. Your children have very loving parents who want to give them good experiences in life and a strong foundation of faith. And I'm glad that our audience was able to hear all these things today. So thank you so much for your time being with us today. And thank you so much for watching the Shepherd Podcast. I know you enjoyed hearing from Bryan, and if you want to share it with other people, then they can enjoy it as well. So that really makes it go even further, sharing the messages that are contained in these episodes. Look forward to bringing you future interviews. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. The Lord's blessings to you today.
Amen.